Today we are going to see a couple of the simplest algorithms in machine learning, linear and logistic regressions. In fact, we assume that both these algorithms are so simple that often their power or their capability is being overlooked. So in today's session, what we are trying to do is we will not only explain these algorithms, rather try to walk through some of the real life complexities which we get in, not purely from an algorithm standpoint, but from the data standpoint. Okay, so without further delay, let's right away get into the nature of algorithms. There are two types of supervised machine learning algorithms: regression, classification. Regression deals with continuous values and predicts certain outcome in the future. Classification, on the other hand, deals with discrete values, and it is basically about assigning to a particular category or a group. This is more of a theoretical definition which you can even Google it out. So rather than that, let me explain with a real life example. If you happen to see a cricket match and the commentary box or the commentator tells you if the batting team is hitting in this space, probably they will end up scoring so many runs at the end of their session or end of the innings, and that basically is nothing but a regression, wherein based on your current data and circumstances, you are predicting certain outcome in the future. And on classification, like if you are going to go ahead and apply for a college, based on your marks and based on so many other parameters, um, either you get an admission or may not. At certain times you might be waitlisted. So that is a typical example of classification, wherein you are put into a group saying that okay, now you are approved for this loan, or you are rejected for this loan, or you need more inputs to process your loan further. So this is where it falls along. Coming back to linear regression, this is something which we would have seen day in, day out as part of our mathematical exercise in 7th and 8th grade. Typically it's a 5 marks question wherein they will give you a equation y equal to mx plus c. And they'll ask you to assume certain values of x, determine a value of y, or they will say that for what value of x you will get this value of y, and show it graphically. So exactly that is our first taste of linear regression. So that is something which gave us the experience of dealing with linear regression, but also it all made us to forget when we implement it in the real world scenario what type of challenges we do. So we are going to take a real life scenario wherein assume that you are a startup, you have started a online streaming business, something very similar to Netflix, and your subscribers are increasing, and your infrastructure today is capable of handling around 100,000 requests per hour. Now you want to know when you need to provision more infrastructure so that you are able to maintain the user experience. At the same time, you don't lock your capital so upfront that you are not able to focus on the other activities. So you are at a situation wherein you have a limited capital. You want to invest it on your service, but you don't want to do too early to lock in your capital. or you don't want to do it too late when users have started leaving your online subscription. So basically you want to do it at the right time, and that means you want to predict it. What point in future will this infrastructure not be able to handle more? So basically it is a regression problem, because you are going to operate on a continuous value. You are going to determine something in the future rather than classifying it to belong to one group or the other. What I like in this exercise is, though it applies your linear regression, the problem navigates through real life challenges and talks about how application of the technique itself changes with the dynamics of data. And to give credits, I have taken this example from a book called Building Machine Learning Systems in Python. And the code is tweaked a bit on this front, but more about it as we get into it. Okay, so without further delay, let me go ahead to my Google Colab. So I have the code. So let us start setting up the initial versions. I have my spicy, and I'm going to create some random data, and this is how my traffic looks like. So you have so many hits happening, the week 0, the week 1, week 2, so on and so forth. So basically having a rough look at the data shows that the business is growing, which is a very positive thing to have, right? Now the question is all about, when do we hit the 100,000 mark and how, so that we can be prepared to provision additional infrastructure. Wonderful. So I'm just putting the data and trying to see how many total records are there. There are 743 records, which are 2 dimensions. Basically the records are nothing but it talks about every hour how many hits you have. That is the only thing it talks about. And I'm just going to do a little bit of cleaning. Do we have any invalid records in the X, that is the hours column? No. Do you have any invalid records in the Y column, which is the number of hits? Yes, 8. So in real life it will not be so less. In real life it will be thousands, and the easiest decision which we might make is drop the records, but it is easily said than done, because data is the new gold. So dropping the record is the last choice. So we need to do a lot of cleaning, but to stay focused on our algorithms, I'm not going to go ahead and complicate it further. We just have 8 records which are invalid, so I'm just going to drop it and drop those records and look all the valid records. Now the very first thing which you're going to do is build a very simple model, that is, apply a first degree polynomial, right, and see how it fits in. Okay, so I'm going to build it. Now I will explain you what is this error concept, so that it will be easier to see pictorially. Now for an equation of degree 1, when we draw a graph, we get a straight line. So there are, as you see, that not all the points, all the data points are aligned to the straight line. There are too many deviations. So the error which we have defined here is the sum of the square of the distance between the data points and the line which we are predicting. The greater the difference, the greater the deviation, the greater is the error. So basically now we have an error saying that for the equation of a degree 1, this is error. Now we don't even know whether this is high or low. We don't even have anything to compare against. So what we do is we repeat the experiment with polynomial of degree 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. and calculate the error at each point. Now I'm doing it in parallel. I have an error here. Now I'm going to do it with the degree 3. So as the degree of the polynomial increases, the curve, it's no longer a straight line. It tries to fit in with most of the data points, and when I start printing those, let us start printing those errors, and let us see whether as the complexity increases, what really happens. We see that for an equation of polynomial 1, we had a higher error, and the error actually decreases as we increase the complexity. Looks a very appealing case. It looks like we are on the right track, but actually we are not, because we get onto this lane, we might end up plotting a curve which is trying to bring 98% of the data along with it. That means it will work extremely well with your given training data set, but the moment you step out and take data from the real world, it will not give you the same accuracy. So fundamentally, what does it mean is the accuracy level which what you get for your training data set is not the same for the real world data set, or technically it is called as overfitting. So by increasing the complexity of the curve, you are trying to bring in more and more points to fit definitely in the curve. It will start taking all possible directions to accumulate most of the points, and it will work more highly effective for the given data set, but not for the entire data sets, for the other data set. So we don't want to get onto this lane. So what we do now, now we have to go back and check our input data set. If we check the input data set, we see that from week 0 to week 3, or somewhere between week 3 and 4, the data follows a pattern. Mostly it is a straight line, but beyond that it follows another pattern, and it is explainable because from week 0 to week 3.5 your business would have just got started, the word of mouth would have started spreading, or your marketing techniques, your flyers would have reached people and people would have started responding. So that explains, and beyond that the subscribers are going really geometrically up. So what does it mean is, rather than trying to fit the entire data within a one curve, can we break it into two data sets? And where do I break? The real point of inflection, or the point after which the data pattern changes, is somewhere between 3 and 4. So I take that as 3.5. So from week 0 to week 3.5, it follows a curve, and beyond which it follows a different curve. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat that experiment for the data set A, which is between week 0 to week 3.5, and data set B, which is between week 3.5 and above, and then calculate the error as a combination of two errors for a data set A and data set B, and then check it out whether my model looks much better. So let's try it out. So what I did is, we took a inflection point as 3.5. The multiplication of 7 into 24 is because the input data is in hours. Here it is in weeks, so we just convert it into the weeks thing. And when we execute it, we see that the combined error, which is your data set A and data set B, before and after the point of inflection, is somewhere of this order magnitude. And if I compare it to what I got earlier, the previous data wherein I consider the entire data as one single block seems to be more efficient than what I have now. So fundamentally this method is not working quite efficiently. So here any data scientist will be encountering three choices. One, you drop your linear regression and adopt more complex model, or go ahead and grab more data, which is the most difficult thing to do, or go ahead and relook at the way you have implemented linear regression. That is the reason I said, though linear regression looks to be extremely simple, but in a practical standpoint, when you implement it, it is not. You need to understand the pattern of data, otherwise even the simplest of the algorithm will give you a lot of headaches. So what we do now is, we go again to the input data set, analyze it. When we analyze it, we understand the week 0 to week 3.5 is a one-time phenomenon of your starting up of the business. There is no possibility that it will get repeated. But in practical world, there might be certain instances which will repeat. For example, your holiday season. So the sales in the holiday seasons will be high. Again, it is a one-time phenomenon, but it cannot be just brushed out. You need to be prepared for the next holiday season. But quite good thing about our example is we don't have such a complexity. Here, from week 0 to week 3.5, it is just you started your business, it took some time for the flight to take off. That is the reason it is slow. So rather than looking at the data patterns here, to predict the future, why not look only at the data patterns starting week 3.5 and plot the curve only for that sector, because your prediction of the future can be more confident from your immediate past than the distant past. So by doing that, I get something like this. So what we do is, now we take only the data after the inflection point and start plotting straight lines and increasing the degree of coefficients, right? So we started putting it more and more, and now we will see that again for degree 1, 2, 3, 10, 100, you will have a error factor, but now you will again don't know which error or which equation you have to take, because if I realistically look at it, the error numbers are decreasing. So that means that again I am getting onto the concept of overfitting, and we don't want to overfit our model because we know that our model will not work well with the real-time data if we overfit it. So what we do is, when we know that this is the right approach, but just to avoid overfitting, I will divide the data as 30% as test data and the remaining as a training data, and fit the model, and then apply the model on the test data to check which has the least coefficient. So when I do that, this is the numbers which I get for the training data. Now I apply it over the test data. Then you see the error factor going down, and suddenly it increases. So basically, for a polynomial of degree 3, what you see is it has the least error. So basically, this is your right polynomial to predict the future. So we will take that equation, right, and then apply on it. And if I'm going to say for polynomial of degree 3, if the value of y is equal to 100,000, when is that? I will be hitting the expected count as somewhere in the week of 10 or 9.6. So basically in the week of between 9 to 10, I will be hitting it. So I need to provision my space infrastructure before it. If you are a strict cloud enthusiast, you may think you don't even need all this, and auto scaling will do. But this example we took it to explain the simplicity behind this algorithm, but the complexity comes in understanding the data. So you took a sample data, try to understand its pattern, then you try to divide it before and after the point of inflection. Then we also took 30% test data and training data, remaining as the training data. We trained the model, then we saw which of the curve was more accurate with respect to the test data. and then applied it to our problem which we were trying to solve, we got an answer as 9.6. So what you need to understand here is, though the algorithm linear regression looks so simple, right? Just like plotting this, in practical world it is not the case. It brings in its own complexity, and the challenge here is all around the data. So hope now you were able to understand and appreciate it. In our next session, we will see more about logistic regression, which is a quite straightforward case. In fact, it is not a regression. I would say it is a pseudo classification algorithm, but more about it later. And I have given the access to the code which I just showed you in my GitHub, which will be there in the comment of the description of this video. And if you have any questions, you can approach me through the email queryshami@gmail.com. Hope you are able to understand, in a machine learning world, it's not about just the algorithms, but it is more about the data. I didn't get into the imputation techniques here. We just had 8 invalid records which we discarded. But if we get more and more onto it, this algorithm will become more complex. Welcome to the world of ML. Thank you.